Welcome into the 617 podcast. I am Craig D'Alessandro. This is the six. Welcome into the 617, brought to you by the Crowworthy Network, the voice of the Boston fans by the fans. I am Craig D'Alessandro, and we're here today to talk about many things Boston sports. You know, we could talk about the Patriots just knocking off the highest scoring offense in the NFL. We could talk about the Bruins who are opening up tonight. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, if I do it correctly and post the show the time I should. And also the Celtics just coming off just 2 wins away from the NBA Finals victory last season, coming up just short against the Golden State Warriors. We can talk about them opening up next week as well. But we're going to talk about the Red Sox tonight. And joining me tonight, the returning Michael Marcangelo, who is back from his long overdue honeymoon. And Bob Kelly is with us as well. Hello, boys.
How we doing? Yeah, Craig.
All of that hype.
That was epic.
All that hype, and you fucked it up in 3 seconds.
I did. I did it almost. You know, that's the good thing about the podcast version is they'll never know. But if you're watching it on stream or on YouTube, they'll know almost immediately. If you're watching us on the YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss a new episode whenever we post one. And if you're listening on the podcast, make sure to subscribe and give us a rating wherever you're on the podcast platform. So, our Boston Red Sox are finally done mercifully. Their season has come to an end. 78-84, their final record on the season. Last place in the AL East, the 5th time since 2011. Mike, I think we gave up on this team a long time ago, didn't we?
I mean, if you listen back to the first episode that we ever did on the 617 podcast and the 617 network, Rayshawn and I shat all over them then. They had to earn the right for me to watch them. And there was a little glimmer of hope in June. I think Bobby and I think Rayshawn was on that show too, where we thought, I think they went 20-9 through like almost a 30-game stretch. And I said on that episode, you can go back and I'm sure it'll be in the show notes. I said, what's the anomaly? The first 2 months or that string? And it turns out it was that string, because this was, I wanted to say, at least they gave us good baseball in August, but they didn't. And now this is probably one of the most important off seasons that we can go into, or we have gone into in the last 10 years. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. So it's funny that you brought up that the show that we did back in June, because that was literally the first thing that came to mind when we were coming to do this show tonight, because I think that was the last one we did, at least me and you. And literally from that point, things just went from optimistic to literally the worst possible quality baseball you could put out there. I think what happened was, you had Story, he was actually hitting on full cylinders. And I think it really was, what's the word I'm looking for? It really was, that was what's the word you just said? I don't know why I can't think of words right.
Anomaly.
Thank you. That was the anomaly because our team was healthy. I feel like if we had our full healthy Red Sox team, that was the 28 game sample that we got. After that, we lost our rotation, we lost our pen, we lost Story, and by middle of July, the lineup was unrecognizable.
Really, we didn't do a lot since we've been on the 617, since we've kind of been the main shows taking over this feed. We've done
Humble brag.
Yeah, well, since we've done like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 shows the entire season just based on the Red Sox. The rest have been like Celtics and Patriots based. That's because they just weren't good at any point. There was one stretch where they went on that West Coast trip and they faced the AL East at one time and just decimated them, because the AL West is just garbage with the Athletics, the Angels. Mariners made the playoffs. Good for them. First time in 20 years, but they managed to beat them as well. It just wasn't good baseball, like from start to finish. It was just bad. This is a bad Red Sox team.
Yeah, the problem here, or maybe not the problem, but the thing that I think that we noticed throughout this entire stretch, this entire season, is that there wasn't one part of the team that you could absolutely depend on, right? I think there are players that you could depend on. You could depend on Xander, Devers, and JD. And aside from that, I think that in the offseason that they were they overvalued the importance of defense by bringing back Jackie Bradley, and they really undervalued who they gave away for him, right? Because that was a 25 to 30 home run a year hitter. And they thought, okay, well, we already have a couple of those, so our offense will be okay. Turns out, I think, as you put in the show notes or in our little script here, that they were top 10 in offense. Yeah, in terms of runs scored, that's great. But their batting average is 250 as a team. That's not great. And their ERA was I think 4.4. That's also not great. And when you combine the fact that, I don't mean to go on this long tangent, but it felt like they were banking on defense to be super important and Jackie Bradley to be a contributor. Which, by the way, aside from the one stretch where he not to steal Felger's thing, but I'll just call it what it is, where he probably took steroids and he hit, he swung out of his ass and had the best year of his life. He's a bad hitter. He's a very, very bad hitter. Who do they give away? Why is it slipping my mind?
Hunter Renfro.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And that guy went off to his Milwaukee, right?
Yep.
And he did exactly what he did here. He produced offensively. It felt like the first part of the year was, let's just tread water until Chris Sale comes back. But then Chris Sale does what he always does, and he gets hurt, quotations, because we never saw him get hurt except for when he got pinged by that line drive. And we had that show about that in, I think it was August. Yeah, it was August, late July, early August. So you have your ace that you've been paying assloads of money to not pitch, who's unreliable. You have an offense that I think underperformed their expectations. And this is what you get. You get 78 and 84 in last in the AL East. And now you're left with, I think this is a more frustrating year than the COVID year because there was so much potential at the beginning where you had pundits from, I think it was SB Nation, right? If I remember this correctly, it was SB Nation that they were saying that this team should win anywhere between 86 and 95 games. And they win 78. Like, it's trash.
Yeah, so completely agree, Mike. The reason why this is so much more disappointing is last year they went to the ALCS. You know what I mean? Like this was a team. Game 7 of the ALCS, and yes, they overachieved doing so. But when you overachieve like that with the core like we had, the move isn't to go play Moneyball that offseason and try and piece together just random arms to turn into a bullpen and a starting rotation. You bring these guys back so they can overachieve again and add pieces to that. And that's what made this season sting so much to me, is just that it seemed like coming into the season, it was just like, guys, we don't give a shit. That was the vibe from day one, from the ownership, from management, from the top on down. And you could see it come out on the players. You know what I mean? Like when you have a team that takes when you have an organization that takes a talented core like this, right? And instead of talking about Xander and Devers being MVP, being, a top player in the league, the entire season, the only thing they got asked about is contracts. And it's just like, it's blasphemous what they did to this team after last year leading into this year.
I'm so happy that Mike brought up so early the Jackie Bradley thing, because I just want to bring up. So we all agree that trade was disastrous.
Couldn't have been more disaster. It literally, when Renfro finished with what, 36 home runs this year?
29. But that's the point I'm getting to here, is that, so I'm gonna bring in Kyle Schwarber that they choose not to bring in as well. So he had 46 home runs this year. He was second in the National League. Hunter Renfro had 29. If you combine them, the Red Sox only had 11 more home runs than those two players put together. And I felt that all season long, that there was just no power on this team. And that was especially especially on especially on JD Martinez, because it just seems like, man, he hit the 35. He turned 35 and just turned into Jim Rice when he turned 35, and it just everything went God for him. I understand the last 2 games of the season he had a couple home runs when nothing really mattered and it was over, but he vanished all year. His first couple of years here, he made his bones, and he was he'll always be indebted to Red Sox forever. But the last
Other way around. Other way around. We will always be indebted to him.
That's what I meant.
100%.
That's what I meant. But this is like Arizona Diamondbacks or Detroit Tigers JD Martinez we got this year. It was just so bad. There was no power on this team this year. None. Zero. Maybe a little bit out of Devers, but he fell off in the second half completely. But
to make that point even worse that you just brought up, Craig, if you added another player that they chose not to bring back in Mookie Betts, they actually have about 30 more home runs than the entire Red Sox team combined between 3 outfielders.
So you just said that between Renfro and I always forget this guy, Schwarber. There was what? There was 80 home runs there.
75.
Great. Okay, 75. So you decided to move on from Renfro and Schwarber and bring in Jackie Bradley because you were committed to defense. Those 2 players this year hit 30 less home runs than Jackie Bradley Jr. has hit in his entire fucking career. And I get it. He's not a power hitter. I understand that. It just might turn out he's not an actual hitter because he's average. His career average is 227. What are you doing? What are you? I mean, you better be Ricky Henderson in the outfield or the best outfielder in the history of this game if you're gonna walk up there and average 227. That's all I'm gonna say. And he ain't that.
It's just one of the many moves that Chaim Bloom made this offseason. I just have to shake my head and think what the hell was going on there, because I think the warning that we all said, or that the warning lights that came off when Chaim Bloom came in to be the president of baseball operations or whatever the hell he calls himself is his team going to be like the Rays? And I think that's exactly where they've been heading for the last couple of years. Because you just look at his pitching, it's clear that the defense now, the minor league has been completely rejuvenized since he's come here. Great, but that's come at expense at major league.
Are you sure? Are you sure that the minor league is not better because of the moves that Dave Dombrowski made and that he built? Because I'm pretty sure that every one of their top stars has come up to the major leagues in the last 2 years, and maybe in AAA this year, they're Dombrowski guys.
I would have to check in on that, but I wouldn't discount it out of hand.
I said it with such clarity that you might just have to agree with it, even if it's not true.
Okay, I agree with it. Yeah.
It's wild that they took a team that had, all this talent, and instead of exactly what you said, Chaim went the opposite route. Like even the Rays, man, like you brought up that even the Rays, when they have talent on their squad, when they have a team that they know can make a run, they go out and do things to make that team better instead of selling off pieces immediately. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's crazy to me what happened.
The problem with Chaim Bloom's strategy for me, sorry to interrupt you, Craig, but it feels like his strategy is do what puts your team or what gives your team the best chance to win in the next 5 years, which is fine. But my real problem with that is that it moves on. So if you fail this year, he just says, "Oh, we're just going to do something that puts us in a good position to win over the next 5 years again next year," right? It doesn't make any sense. How many championships did he win in Tampa? 0. And I'm sorry, but Boston and the Red Sox again had an 86-year drought until 2004. This ownership group has brought you 4 World Series in the last 20 years. They now are or should always be perennial champions. And this guy is not going to put you in a position to do that.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I mean, what I never got about that thought process, right? We got to look, make sure we're successful in 5 years. We're thinking about the future. We're in the goddamn future. That's what I never got, man. Like, this is the team This is the squad that you should be building around. You shouldn't try to be building up for our future in 5 to 7. No, the 5 to 7 years ago, we were building up for this team. You know, like, this is the squad. Xander, Devers, like, all these guys. It was supposed to be Mookie, Benintendi. Like, all these guys came up together, and this was supposed to be the squad. And now all of a sudden we're thinking like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna stay under the luxury tax and be good and 4 to 5. Get the fuck out of here! You kidding me? You kidding me with that?
That brings
before
me
you, sorry, Craig.
I'll get there eventually. No, go ahead.
All right, so not to beat a dead horse here, and we're fighting through some delays in the stream, but we're gonna power through it.
Yeah.
In 2018, your starting World Series roster was Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Brock Holt, Ian Kinsler, Mitch Moreland, Eduardo Nunez, Steve Pearce, Andrew Benintendi, Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley, JD Martinez, and your catchers were Sandy Leon, Blake Swihart, Christian Vasquez. Your pitchers, you had Chris Sale, Eduardo Rodriguez, David Price, Rick Porcello, Craig Kimball, Nathan Eovaldi. The list goes on. I tell you that because I want to let you know, Boston 617 listeners, I love you. I love the Red Sox, believe it or not. But you, in 4 years, have done what the Houston Texans did in their playoff run. If you ever want to learn about how to destroy a major league franchise, look at the moves that the Red Sox made between 2018 and 2021, because that's it. That's what they did.
You know what? It's on par. It's on par with the Marlins. That's what this whole year and a half has reminded me of. Those 2 to 3 seasons after the Marlins won their 2 championships. I mean, granted, we still have Xander and Devers. They definitely would have traded them like the next week. But literally, right for now, everything else that's transpired reminds me so much of the Marlins. And we even put the cherry on top of it this year, where we gave up like 27 runs this year in a game, which is so Marlins-esque. It's so crazy that the Boston Red Sox are the team that's like, well, we don't want to go out and sign Kyle Schwarber and spend all that money, even though he wants to be here and loves to be here. We don't need his 48 home runs. We're gonna replace that with goddamn Jackie Bradley and who is the other platoon guy they put in rights for a bunch this year?
Tommy Pham?
Tommy Pham. Like, bro, that's not a solution. That's not even a stopgap. That's not even plugging the hole. That's like putting a piece of masking tape on a hole in a boat and being like, I think it'll work.
So I think that brings me to I have a list of offseason questions, and I couldn't even hit all of them, so I narrowed it down to just 8. But number one, and I think the Red Sox need to address this immediately. They need to address it right now. It's the first thing they need to figure out is who is going to play shortstop for the Red Sox in 2023 and beyond. Because it should be Xander Bogaerts, but they're going to let him. They're going to let him test free agency. They have a 5-day exclusive negotiating window till after they have an exclusive negotiating window till 5 days after the World Series. But after that, he's opting out. He's testing the waters. He's seeing what Scott Boras can bring him. So, are the Red Sox really going to let him go? A guy who's been a homegrown talent. He's a 2-time World Series champion. He's a 4-time All-Star. He's a 4-time Silver Slugger. He's played 1,000. He's played 1,200 games at shortstop. And he's been playing 44 postseason games.
Is gone. Want to know why? Because the Red Sox, they would much rather pay for someone else's homegrown talent than pay for their own. They'd rather just go ahead and I'm sorry, I'm going to swear a lot in the show. It's my first show in 3 weeks. They're star fuckers. They love going out and finding like the big name out there. They have been. This transcends. This isn't Chaim's fault. They did it with the Dombrowski. They did it with Theo. All of it. You had Mookie Betts. You had Xander Bogaerts, and you had Rafael Devers in the same team. You already let one walk, and it's not like you made him a competitive offer. So I don't, you give me some shortstop free agents on this list, like Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, Dansby Swanson. Whoever's the cheapest, that's who they're gonna go get. And they will spin it as some baseball, sabermetrics. But in reality, you have people that should be the pillars of your team for the next 10 years, and you're going to let them walk. That's just it.
Yeah, it's like when you say the Red Sox are star fuckers, that's very true. The thing is, man, the thing is they. I don't know if they just don't realize it or like they think that Xander and Devers are stupid. But when Xanders and Devers hit the open market, they are those stars. That's what blows my mind about all this. Like, what the hell are we doing here? We're gonna let him walk for a potential all-star, for a potential blue. You already have him. He's sitting there in front of you. I mean, like, what? I just don't understand how it can actually be sold to an educated person who knows how sports and baseball works. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't fathom how anyone can actually like sit here and try and defend what they're doing.
If there's just one thing that I can ask, my one plea to Red Sox front office, because I know that they're avid listeners, is just make it close. Don't let the gap be $180 million or $120 million. Like, if Xander leaves and he goes to the Dodgers, because we are the feeder system for the Dodgers.
Yep.
Make it that he left for, and it's like $20 million more. At that point, it's like, okay, like whatever. If we're gonna offer you $350 and you go for $370, sure, you wanted more money.
Word.
No harm in that. But if he goes somewhere for $500 million and you offer him $280, you deserve that.
It's like
you deserve it.
It's like the Soto with the Nationals. The Nationals did everything they could to try and keep Juan Soto. They offered that man a $400 million contract, and he said no. And then they traded him. Fine, that's perfectly acceptable. You
Yep.
put the money on the table, and he said no. If you don't put the money on the table for this guy after all he's done for you, it's just I just don't understand. And for you to try and sell it too, being like, well, we got Trevor Story. Get at it. I like Trevor's Story, but that's Xander's money that you gave him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that all could have gone to him. So my answer is I think Trevor Story will be the shortstop of this team next year. And I think it's bullshit that Trevor Story is going to be the shortstop of this team.
If you let him walk and you don't make a competitive offer and you did not trade him to get as much as you could for him, you are a failure as a GM. And that's what we're looking at right now.
Can I ask a quick preamble to it? So you said they have 5 days, Craig.
Yep.
What are the odds that Chaim is gone within those 5 days?
Oh no. I think he's here for the long term. I think
he's here.
Who Chaim or Xander?
Chaim. I mean Chaim. Yeah.
Oh, Chaim's going to be here for the long haul. He's brought this payroll down so much. They're going to have so much cap room this season. I think the Red Sox front ownership absolutely loves it because they're going to have so much money to spend this offseason if they want to, and I think they will. Because, despite what Mike said, they're still going to spend a lot of money on a lot of players. I'm not saying they're going to be good players. So, they spent a shitload of money on Trevor Story, and he only played like quarter of the season.
It's weird how that happens, huh?
It's cool.
Yeah,
how much did Xander play? Right.
The whole season. That's weird.
Right.
Xander played the entire season. Yeah, I'm saying Trevor Story.
No, I know.
Craig, we're using a little thing called sarcasm here.
It's just it's crazy, man. It just my blood pressure goes up 20 because when I think Xander, listen, I saw Xander go like I went to a Portland Sea Dogs game like 10 years ago. Saw Xander Bogaerts play for the Sea Dogs. They got one hit or like two hit that night. Both hits were by Xander Bogaerts because they're playing like a top prospect for pitching. But he dominated. Xander's the only one that got hits, and it was 2 doubles and 2 rockets. And I remember at that moment, I was like, man, this guy's good. This guy is something. And now you're going to go ahead and try and sell me someone else who's just, this guy's good. We're in the future, guys. We're in the future. The hell you doing?
Here's where I think Chaim Bloom is having his trouble. And it sucks, and it's a good problem to have, but it's not. What I think is happening with the Xander Bogaerts thing is he sees what Marcelo Mayer has been doing in the minor leagues, and he doesn't want to have a commitment long term in a position that he's eventually going to fill in with one of his own guys, Marcelo Mayer. Marcelo Mayer, wherever he ends up, whether it's Red Sox, I don't know, Houston,
Dodgers.
Texas Rangers, Dodgers, wherever. He's going to be a phenomenal talent in major leagues. I have no idea. I have no doubt about that. But it's going to take 2 more years, maybe 2024 at the absolute earliest. So I think that Chaim is not willing to commit to Xander for more than, I don't know, 3 years if he has Marcelo Mayer in his back pocket, and he's willing to just have a stopgap at shortstop, whether it's Jeter Downs or moving Trevor Story over there, which I don't think they would do, or just putting a guy there and investing that money somewhere else on the roster.
So if what you just said is true, Craig, why don't you sign the guy that's proven his major league ability and you trade the guy that you just talked about for 2 actual horses in the starting rotation of the bullpen, and now you've solidified yourself for the next 5 years? Again, this all goes back to what Bobby and I were talking about before. Chaim Bloom thinks, what are my best chances to win in the next 5 years? Oh, I have this great talent in the minors. Don't worry, like he's going to increase our odds, and that target will keep moving, and they will still, if they continue to operate the way that they've operated in the last, we'll call it year and a half. I think 2021 was an aberration. I think they did outperform. They weren't a terrible team. They probably weren't a 10 outs from the World Series type of team. But if we just say over the last 3 years, we take what we've seen, if they continue to do that, there's not going to be any revenue coming in the stands for these people to spend money on anymore. Like, Red Sox fans are loyal. Pink hats will go there to see Fenway for as long as they need to. But at a certain point in time, you have to believe that your front office is doing what they think is best to win a championship, even if they don't win one. I don't think anyone on this podcast believes that what they have done over the last 3 years is putting them in a position to be better than every other major league team out there.
Cool. Right, I'll let Bobby fill in right there.
Yeah, I thought you were going to jump in. No, I completely agree. So to bring up the attendance, right? So it's already happening. So the Red Sox.
Oh yeah, they're down. They were down this year. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So normally they're 35,000 sellout every single night. They were at 32,004 by the end of this season. Okay, and let's remember that for the first quarter to half the season, they were selling out every game. So it was around 35,000, and since it has plummeted. I don't know if you guys watched that last series, but I've never seen Fenway Park so empty in my entire life. Literally have never seen it that empty. Like it looked like I was watching a Tampa Bay Rays game. That's what the stands looked like. And if things don't improve, I guarantee you that's where it's going to end up. Prediction for Xander, by the way, I think he's going to San Diego. I think they're going to sell on Tatis, and he's going to San Diego to join that wagon.
Yeah, but I would have to think that San Diego's trying to, rid themselves of Tatis after what he's done to them.
That's what I mean.
Although,
so Tatis is out. I think they're gonna trade him something. I don't know. And then Xander's gonna replace him because it's just so much baggage. And you know what I mean. You insert Xander into that, and all of a sudden it's the same exact level of talent that they had before without the extra baggage.
So does Xander play third for them? Or, I don't know. There's so much middle infield talent on that Padres team right now. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do but that's their problem to figure out. But if Xander leagues, I think it's going to be a huge culture problem because Xander's a huge culture icon on this team. That this is a Hispanic-led Boston Red Sox team right now. You look at the manager, you look at the star, quote unquote star players on this team: Devers, Bogaerts, Kike Mendes, Martinez, stuff like that. This is a huge Hispanic-led team, and if Xander leaves, I really don't know. And then Devers right out the door behind him. I think this is going to cripple the morale of this team.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I don't think that they care. I just don't think that they care about that anymore.
I agree with that.
I mean, gone are the days where you have 5 people that on the Red Sox that you say are like their star players. Like it's not too long ago that you could say it was Manny, it was Ortiz, it was Schilling, it was Papelbon, it was Pedroia, it was it was Jacoby, it was Mookie. But again, in Chaim Bloom's entire career in Tampa Bay, name 5 notable players. Stars, 5. on the same team.
Just on Red Sox teams, or
No. In Tampa.
oh,
when
in
he
Tampa.
when he constructed that team, name 5 stars that he had on that team at the same time.
Anyone that he had, I guarantee you he traded him. Because every person I'm thinking of in my head, it was a person I got. So like Chris Archer, he was a star for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got traded. Ben Zobrist, he was a star there for a little while. I think that might have been Forheim though, but
Might have been.
also traded. Who else?
That's it.
Nelson
Yeah,
Cruz.
just about.
Was that
No
after
one I
Heim?
would consider a star.
Yeah, no one that's a star. Yeah, you're right.
So that's what you're going to be looking at. This is the Mickey Mouse version of the Billy Beane philosophy. The problem was Billy Beane is much better at it. He still hasn't won a World Series, but at least he's competitive. And again, he's doing what he thinks is the best interest of the team to win a championship. Not happening here.
Would John Henry allow that? Because it's gonna hurt his bottom line then. Because if there's one thing that if there's 2 things I know about John Henry, is that he really doesn't care about baseball, but he really cares about how his portfolio looks.
Well, they just bought the Penguins, so they're fine.
Yeah, I understand that, but still, it's hurting his bottom line if the Red Sox are bad. And we've seen with the Red Sox, when they have shitty seasons like they just had in 2022, they come back in the offseason, they come out and are big fucking spenders.
We'll
so
see.
They're going to respond to that's. It's just that this is the big boy pants offseason for Chaim Bloom. He's going to be given a hell of a lot of money in a check to spend because they're going to have a lot of cap room. So that really matters in baseball, but it does to John Henry because it's his money. But I think that a lot of what happened to the Red Sox this past offseason is a strike, and the fact they barely made any moves until the after strike was over and we were already in spring training was a contributing factor, but not the main cause. But I do think this is going to be a very aggressive offseason for Chaim Bloom and the Boston Red Sox.
Let me ask you guys a question. Without going too far in depth, I want to make sure that you can keep going down the list of things you want to talk about. In spring training, I think we all agree that the Yankees were probably the clear favorite to win the division, right? They were a wagon. What did they do during the season? Sure. Well, so what did the Yankees do during the season? They added.
Yep.
And even after their atrocious 5-16 record there, I think it was late July, early August, they still finished with almost 100 wins, right? They had a good foundation. They built on it. The Red Sox didn't have any of that. They don't know what they had. They were always waiting for something else to happen. It never happened. And the fact that, I don't know if it was done on purpose, that Chaim Bloom either thought that this team could be a playoff contender, so he did not make any deals at the trade deadline, or if he just didn't want to spend. Either way, I think it's an indictment on his ability to run this team effectively, especially what you just said. This is going to need to be a big boy offseason, and I don't think he's ever done that before in his career.
Agreed. He absolutely has never had an offseason like that, like this in his career, because you can't sell this philosophy year in and year out without some kind of promise or some kind of positivity or some kind of move. So he's never had this kind of money to spend, never had this capital that he can really dig into this team with. And if he fucks this up, or if he messes this up, excuse my language, if he messes this up, then it's over for him. There can't be another, we're gonna see this out. We believe in Chaim's season. Listen, if he doesn't make some moves this offseason, and it's not something where we're coming into next season with at least a 5% positive outlook because of something that happened, then I don't know what I'm gonna do with this team next year.
So with that, I want to talk about the pitching for the Red Sox because that was also atrocious last year. We're gonna do that after the break here. We're gonna step away for a second. You're gonna hear me again, shocker. We'll hear about our friends at betus.com. And if you're listening on the stream or YouTube, we're gonna get right into it. But it's the fact that this pitching staff for the Red Sox was just so bad last year. It was so bad. It ranked in the bottom. It was supposed to be. Coming into the season, I felt pretty good about the pitching staff, no matter what was going on with the offense. I felt pretty good. Chris Sale was going to be a full year back from his Tommy John surgery. He's going to be back. He's going to pitch 200 innings. He's going to hit 97 all day. He'll definitely pitch in October. I know that for sure. And what happens? Mysterious stress fracture while he's doing unofficial workouts in spring training.
The first one. Right.
This is the first injury that nobody saw.
Oh yeah, the first injury. The first injury he had this season was a stress fracture and an unauthorized thing because they were still in the strike, and they only figured that out afterwards, after the strike. And then so he's out for 2 months right there. Then he comes back. Looks okay. Looks kind of like Chris Sale, but still a little rusty. Then he has that game against the Yankees, breaks his pinky, but it's okay. We'll see you in 6 weeks. That's fine. Save it for August, September. We'll see you then. We'll still be competing for, I don't know, a wild card spot at that point. You've put us behind the 8 ball for a while here already. And then the mysterious bike injury happens where he breaks his hand and now he's out for the season, in a season that we already knew at that point was lost. So that was great. And Nathan Eovaldi
were the highest profile pitcher on your team supposedly falls off of a bike in broad daylight in a densely populated area in Boston, and nobody saw it.
It's funny how those things happen, isn't it?
It's weird.
It's just peculiar. And then Nathan Eovaldi misses at least 10 starts. He'll be a free agent then this year. Michael Wacha was actually a good signing. I don't really care what anybody says about that. That was a good signing. He had a good year for the Red Sox. He'll be a free agent. Good resurgence. He bounced around everywhere. He was for the Rays for a while. He went 11-2 with a 3.32 ERA this season. I have to think Michael Wacha's getting paid, but I think the Red Sox want to bring him back if he's not angel bound or something like that. If someone's going to massively overpay for him. But this starting rotation needs a lot of work. It needs just as much work as they need to figure out the power output for this team right now. And I don't know, what's the starting rotation going to look like next year?
I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of the same thing that you saw. So again, I'm going to come off as a contrarian, as negative, glass half empty. Here, I'm telling you what I think is going to happen, not what I want to happen. I think that they're going to bank again on Chris Sale coming back and being healthy. Number one.
Yeah, I think so.
Number two, I think that they'll probably throw some money at Nathan Eovaldi. He's 32 years old. Over the last 3 years, I think he's 21-14. Which, by the way, isn't great because he's a starter. So that's not great. I think the sub-4 ERA, that's good too. But I think Justin Verlander is going to be a free agent.
Yep.
He's old. He's a star. What do you think is going to happen there? I think that the Sox will probably throw Xander and Devers money at Justin Verlander to come here. And maybe he's good, maybe he isn't. Who knows? But I think a lot of what we saw this year is going to carry over into next year. And they're going to be hoping and praying for Sale to not be a fucking lunatic in the offseason and just show up and pitch. That's it. And who knows if it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, he was literally the definition of like what to avoid as a professional athlete for the entire 2022 season, from his mysterious injury in the preseason to his rehab freak out where he ended up, destroying TVs and all this stuff, and then the bike accident. His 2022 was rough. And I got to look back, right, to that. So we're talking about the pitching staff. I got to look back to the right after we won the World Series. So I guess the 2020 offseason, or 2019 offseason. 19 offseason. Going out, I get what they were doing. I know that these two guys just brought them a championship, but this is what I'm talking about with the Red Sox. So the Red Sox were so willing to sit there and throw all this money at these two guys who just helped them win a World Series, Eovaldi and Sale, when clearly there were red flags coming off of that season, all right? You had just ran both their arms into the ground. It was like the DeMarco Murray season on Nathan Eovaldi's arm in that playoffs, all right? He couldn't have thrown more high-impact baseball than he did. Chris Sale, also couldn't have thrown more high impact innings than he did that season. And then you go out and just give them both all this money, you give them both the Brinks truck, and we're sitting here talking about our 23 and 24-year-old stars that you're not going to give money to. It's just everything's off with this team. That's all I'd say about Chris Sale.
So the starting rotation, if we assuming the players that play for this team this year will be here next year, the starting rotation right now looks like Chris Sale, Nick Pivetta, Brian Bayo, Garrett Whitlock, and I'm assuming they bring back James Paxton because he has a club option. Remember
Great
James
signing
Paxton?
that
Remember when
was,
they signed him?
Yeah, great signing that was.
Yeah.
Championship.
He threw a bullpen after that Tommy John injury and threw out his lat. That shut him down for the entire year. But luckily, they got him on like no money, so it really doesn't matter.
Sure.
Yeah, but Evaldi's a free agent. I think he can come back. I actually wouldn't mind seeing him in the closer role. Walker's a free agent. Rich Hill's a free agent. Thank God. Tanner Houck will still be here. And then there's a whole bunch of, up and coming minor league guys. So this.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait for those. I mean, they'll make an impact on this team for 3 years and then they'll be traded or not signed again.
The only one that excites
I just
me
don't know what they're going to do.
name it's Bayo. They're resting their entire rotation on Bayo. And I don't know how good that, like, he's got promise. He's really good. He's electric, man.
Yeah.
But, like, do you actually, Craig, I know you've seen him come up through the whole ranks there. Do you really think he's going to put it together for, an entire season to ever be an ace on a squad?
I think he has the stuff. I think he's got an electric two-seam change. I think he's got an electric two-seam fastball. He's got an amazing changeup. Pedro did a terrible thing compared to him to himself the other week. So we can all run up that comparison all offseason. But I think Bayo has, number one potential. I'm not sure if he's ever going to reach there. It's way too early to figure that out. But I think the main question mark heading into next offseason, where Garrett Whitlock pitches. Because if there's been one bright spot, it's that when he's healthy, Garrett Whitlock has been pretty much shut down pitcher. It's just where they want to put him. Do they want him for 6 innings, maybe 5 innings in the starting rotation, or do you want him in the closer role? I don't want to hear any more of this garbage. And it's been garbage. I don't care what anybody says of this 2 to 3 inning star reliever. I hate that shit. I fucking hate it. I either want him seeing 5 to 6 innings in the starting rotation or in the closer role. That's where I want to see him. That's where he's going to make the impact, not this fucking bullshit 2 inning start, long relief pitcher. I hate that. It's so stupid. And I see potential in the starting lineup, just like I see potential in this whole Red Sox team. It's just so frustrating because I don't know what the management's going to do, and it pisses me off.
So what the Red Sox have with the rotation is a bunch of number 3s. They have an entire rotation of number 3 pitchers, and they're hoping one of those guys makes that jump. But like, those guys, every single one of them isn't someone who's going to make a jump. You know, and this is like when you're playing MLB The Show and a guy's a 98. But his potential's a C-. Because listen, he's not getting any better than what he is. He is who he is. Nathan Eovaldi is who he is. Chris Sale used to be an ace, but now is who he is. Nick Pivetta, Rich Hill, Michael Wacha, like all these guys aren't people that like, oh, he just discovered this, never before seen gear that he had. No, these guys are like 30 years old. We've seen all the gears. We know who they are. You need someone that can put a stop to a losing streak. You need someone that when they go out there, it should be a guaranteed win 95% of the time. That's who we need at the top of this rotation.
You have 4 Derek Lowe's and a John Burkett as your starters. That's what you have.
Yeah, 100%.
And you need to win 90 games. 90. So listen, I'm not a GM, obviously, probably for the best. However, I would move Chris Sale and his over fucking inflated salary to be a closer. Because if there's one thing that he can do is he can probably give you 45 innings in a year. And let's just make those count the most, right? I think You have to go and you have to sign either Verlander or is it DeGrom?
DeGrom.
DeGrom. Yeah, sorry.
from the Mets.
DeGrom. Yeah, from the Mets. Like,
Okay.
go find somebody. And if you have a 1, a 2, and 3 threes, then your
Amazing.
pitching rotation is top 5 in the league. That's what you need. And Chris Sale, again, I don't care how much. I would rather pay him his $85,000 a pitch if he's a closer because that he's not going to give you 200 innings, but I think he could give you 50.
I actually love that idea. You think about his stuff too, coming out of the bullpen or not being able to adjust to the slider, not being able to see it a second time. I think that's a really good idea if you move Whitlock out of there, because I think it's crazy that the Red Sox would take the one positive. They did. It was crazy during the season. Take the one positive thing that we've seen all season, Garrett Whitlock out of the pen, being locked down, being this, being that, and convert it to a starter. If it ain't fixed, don't broke it. In my opinion, that's how you break pitchers. You extend it for. Listen, he looks like a bona fide closer to me, and that personally is where I'd like him to go. Listen, you've seen the impact a shutdown closer can have on a squad. Look at the Mets this year. I mean, granted, it didn't work out in the playoffs, but they got 102 wins because you knew if they got to the 9th inning, those trumpets were coming out, and it was time to win the game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of guy can have such an impact on a team. And it's just, I feel like he could be one of those guys.
It's like envisioning Joe Torre, seeing what he had with Mariano Rivera. And say, you know what? What if he did?
Give me a solid 5? Yeah.
What if he could do that for 5 innings every 5 days?
Bro, come on.
Like,
Although Garrett, I don't know if we can compare Whitlock to Mo. Let's be real.
No.
But I
I
understand what you're saying.
No. Mo gave us a championship. What has this asshole done? Nothing.
He did.
Go ahead, Craig.
Where do we think they're going to go with Rafael Devers? I know Mike already kind of.
Oh, he's gone too. Yeah,
Bro.
He's gone.
Yeah.
No,
and
no.
By the way, and you're going to get nothing for him as well. Gone.
No, that's so that's
just like Bobby is just gone. Right? Devers.
I don't. I don't think there's Go ahead.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way they're gonna. I think they let one of them go. I think at the end, one of them is going to be gone.
Well, just remember, it's 2 of them because they already let Mookie go.
True,
but they've already let 2 out of it.
That's how pissed off I was. I was like, Devers is gone. I'm gone too, bro. I'm out of here.
Don't worry, I said that. Just like Bobby, he's gone.
But yeah, listen, no, you can't, because first the quotes have been different when it comes to
Can't or won't, Bobby.
You both. Because if you look at the quotes around Xander, right? They ask about Xander. Every team has to make choices. We'd love it for Xander to be back here next year. We believe he's part of our future. You ask about Devers. The answer is, yeah, no, we need to resign him. We're working on that extension. It's coming. It's never like a headline quote or like a something to make you feel better about it. It's just straight up, Devers is getting re-signed.
You can at least make the argument with Devers versus Bogaerts that you can make the argument with Bogaerts that, well, he's already in his age 30 season. They don't get much better after age 30, and he's entering his 31 season right now. We're not going to sign him to a 7-year contract for $30 million a year.
Yeah,
Devers just turned 26. He's gonna be. I sign him to a 10-year now with defer money. I don't care how you do it. I'm not a GM. You cannot let them both go. You let one of them go, and you're going to suffer no matter which one you let go. But you cannot let both of them go. You will never have homegrown talent like that again.
Yes, they will, and they'll continue to let it go. Here's the thing, Bobby. I hear what you're saying about the contract offers sound different. They need to sign them, and I think that you are right in the sense that that's what they should do. In the All-Star break, they offered the rumor was that they offered him $168 million, and he laughed them out of the room. They are over $100 million apart on their first offer. They lowballed him so significantly in his first offer that he laughed at them. So I'm just gonna. I hope. I know that you don't believe this. I truly hope that I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be. He's gone.
Yeah, he can't listen. It's just it's so sad that we're even sitting here talking about this because you have a guy like a Jose Ramirez who the Guardians are building around, still in the playoffs. You
Yeah.
have a guy like who's the one that they compared him to out in Atlanta?
Matt Olson.
Matt
Matt Olson.
Olson. Matt Olson. Guess what? Atlanta still in the playoffs. You have all these corners.
Booming home run today.
We have all these corner infielders that teams recognize, and they go out. Arenado for the Cardinals. Yeah, granted, it was a free agent signing, but they went out, gave him big money. They made the playoffs. It's just you go down the line, and these cornerstone, funny enough, corner infielders don't come along every day of the week. So, like, it's just when you have a guy who has this potential, who's this young, who can hit bombs like he does, because I have to say, a Devers bomb is almost as majestical as an Ortiz bomb. They're pretty close together. It's just these things don't come along every day. You can sell me on our upcoming shortstop. I've seen a lot of electric, athletic, good shortstops in my life. I love Xander, but I've seen a lot of shortstops like him. I haven't seen many guys like Devers before, and it's just different levels to this, you know.
Yeah. Listen, again, everything that you said is true. All I know is
I hate
he
you.
wants $31 million per year, at least, and they offered him 20 on an 8-year deal. So that's not great.
So we're gonna see what happens there. Personally, I hope and I pray that they lock up one of them, and personally, I hope it's Devers. The Red Sox have a lot of currency to spend this offseason, and I think they're going to spend it. Whether that's
No, you don't, Craig. You don't actually think that. You don't. No, you
I
don't.
do. I really do. I think they're going to be big spenders this offseason. I really do. And
Great.
whether
Okay. I hope you're
whether that's through the trademark, yeah, I'll clip that too, so like we can look back on it and fond over it in years to come. That they have a lot of trade assets that they have. They have a Gold Glover at first base who they have for no money, who the Padres gave them for nothing, who's going to cost any team that he goes to any $500,000. I'm talking about Eric Hosmer. So he's a great trade asset, and then you have a plethora of minor league options. So if that's the route they want to go and they don't want to spend money, they've got to do something to improve this team. They just have to.
No, again, what you're saying is what you think they should do.
Yes.
But you're layering, you're conflating that with what you think they will do.
True.
What in the last 4 years has shown you that they will do what you just said they're going to do?
Very little.
Okay.
Nothing. Literally nothing. So can I? You're talking about spending this off season. Can I bring up a pipe dream that like I'm sure you guys will shoot down immediately?
Doesn't sound like me.
All rise. Can we all rise, please? Bring.
You want the judge
on over to Boston? Listen, if there's one thing that would make me okay with losing, all this shit, would be to bring that man to Boston and watch him hit bombs over the Green Monster. I don't give a shit what you're selling me. I'll sign up for that 100% of the time. I feel like it's a pipe dream and it's definitely not going to happen. The only thing that kind of gave me some hope though was that interview where he praised the Boston fans, and like I heard the quote and was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. If you watch the video, listen, that's not nothing. I'm just saying, watch the video. That's something. It's something.
Look, if you're going to tell me that you're going to let Xander Bogaerts walk over to another team, but replace him with Aaron Judge,
cool.
I'm in.
Bye, Xander.
Although they are the same age.
Yeah. Judge is going to the Mets. So let's just look. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. He's going to stay in New York, as he should.
I think he's personally staying with the Yankees. I think they're going to throw in the biggest contract of all time, but we'll see.
Yeah, you think it's criminal? You think it's criminal to let Devers and Xander walk away? Can you imagine if the Yankees let fucking Aaron Judge walk away after hitting 62 home runs? Oh my God.
Steinbrenner would have given him $1 billion in June.
Yep.
The fact that he played this year out without a contract for next year, and then he set the new American League record for home runs. I mean, I don't know what you can do now because he has the Yankees over barrel. And if he performs in the postseason, they're screwed. It's almost like they could offer him $500 million over 8 years, and he could still say no and get more somewhere else.
475, 450 to 475 is the numbers that I've heard rumors and read about that he could be offered, which is
475. I wouldn't throw that out of hand.
yeah, which is what, 50 million more than any contract ever, right?
You know what pissed me off about the whole Aaron Judge thing? Could have been a Red Sox.
That is on the Yankees. Yeah, I was going to say
Could
that
have
is
been
on
a
the
Red-
Yankees.
You know who the Red Sox? So the Red Sox had, when Aaron Judge was drafted, he was drafted in the 2013 draft. It's burned into my memory. I don't even have to look it up. You know who the Red Sox took with the seventh? Oh, the seventh. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
If you say Jackie Bradley, I'm quitting.
That's the first name that came to my head.
Nope. You know what? It's going to be worse. I'm gonna tell you players that got drafted in 2013 before Aaron Judge. Mark Appel, who's just made it up with the Phillies. He busted out early.
That was
Chris
the guy
Bryant.
that Xander hit the 3 hits off of that I talked about earlier.
That's
Kinda
correct.
Cool. Anyways, go ahead.
Clint Frazier, Hunter Renfro, who we talked about earlier. Tim Anderson,
we had him.
who I got.
That's great. Yep.
Christian Arroyo, who's I think now a utility infielder on our Boston Red Sox.
He sure
And
is.
with the number 7 overall pick, the Boston Red Sox selected right-handed pitcher who eventually turned into a shortstop because he sucked, Trey Ball. Remember Trey Ball, everybody? Meanwhile, compensatory round, pick 32, the New York Yankees select Aaron Judge.
Okay. So it's not like he went 8th.
No.
Like it's a little less damning that they picked number 7. That asshole that you said that you just named, and if the next pick was Judge, you'd be like, wow, every other team was going to pick him, and you chose that ass clown.
Yeah,
But,
literally everybody passed over him. So yeah.
Yes, that's fine. Sorry.
A little better.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's not like picking Sonny Michel before Lamar Jackson.
But going back to what Bobby said earlier, if you're telling me that you're bringing in Judge, bye Bobby. If you're telling me that you're bringing in Judge to replace Xander Bogaerts, even though they're the same age, I'm in.
The one thing about Aaron Judge that worries me is
I have no idea what keeps happening. Keep going.
is the one thing about Aaron Judge that worries me. I don't know that he's not juicing. I also don't care, but MLB does. So what was this guy averaging for home runs before this year? Was it was like
About
30?
50. No, it was about 40 to 50, wasn't it?
No.
I'm gonna find out.
I think his career high was about 50 coming into this year.
So this year, of course, he had 62. Last year, he had 39. The year before that, was the COVID year. He kind of checked out that year. So did everybody. He hit 9 home runs in 28 games. So that's actually stretch that out. That's actually tremendous.
Right.
So it was 52 and 17, then 27, 27. Then it was 39 and 62.
Yeah.
Then a contract here. I'm assuming he was tested like a motherfucker this year.
Oh, I'm assuming he randomly got selected for drug testing like every other week.
Yeah, but I'll just say this, not to go off another tangent. Barry Bonds never failed the drug test.
That's true.
You know, it would give me a little pleasure on the season that like all this Yankee shit talk of like Judge did it the right way. He broke the record. He's the real record holder. He's the 2 weeks later, Aaron Judge popped for PEDs. It would just kind of put like, all right, well, maybe 22 wasn't that bad.
Right, but it's like, listen, I don't care. I truly don't. It doesn't matter to me. I think Barry Bonds is the all-time home run king. He was a great and if you don't believe, like, if you don't agree with that, whatever, you're wrong. But it might come out that this guy that this guy used. I don't care, but I think that something like that over the next couple of years would just destroy him, absolutely destroy him. So that would probably delay me in offering him a 10-year, 8-year, like $450 million contract. But I mean, if you're saying that he's on the market and the Red Sox are going to spend money on somebody, yeah, bring him in, see what happens.
He's the kind of guy that the Red Sox threw money at for like the first 75 years of their existence. All right, a big burly dude with that wall, with that wall in left field, just is a Red Sox ownership, management wet dream. You know, it was the I can't think of Willie Mo Peñas of the day. Like all these dudes that were just, oh, once you get him into Fenway Park, bro, look out, he's gonna hit 80 home run. That's the epitome of Aaron Judge right there. So that's why it would be so perfect. Like you said though, I wouldn't go 10. I don't think I'd offer him 10 years. I would give him 8.
Yeah, I give him 8.
10 is a stretch. 10 you're going into Pujols territory, in that Angels deal.
Yeah, but again, I mean, the Angels, they that's another tale, right? It's like, look at what Albert Pujols also never failed the drug test. And the Angels offered him 10 years. And I would argue that they probably got 6 great ones, maybe 6 great ones out of him. So what do you do? Because a guy that's built like a brick shit house, like Aaron Judge, 6'7", almost 300 pounds of pure muscle.
He's a linebacker playing right.
And he's a right fielder. So you're gonna transition him to DH sooner as opposed to later, just to make sure his body doesn't break down. And when it does break down, it's going to be real. It's going to be. So what are you willing to? Are you willing to mortgage your entire future? I don't think the Red Sox are, because they're not willing to mortgage a year in their 5-year plan.
I thought Pujols did a lot worse with the Angels than he actually did. He actually did pretty well, didn't he?
He had 4 bad years.
Yeah, but you just compare that. You look at all
the average. The average is why you think it's so bad. Because
yeah, you're right. So, because I look at the 12 years of St. Louis. He averaged, what was it?
Like
he averaged. I don't know. He averaged a ludicrous amount. Oh, here it is. He averaged 37. You know what? I'm not even going to look it up. It really
37 home runs.
Yeah, he averaged 37 home runs a year. With I don't know. Anyway, this is not an Angels Albert Pujols podcast, but we're over an hour in. I wanted to get to one last thing because I wanted to save this for last because it makes me sad. X gone. I'm gonna miss him. I don't really know how they're gonna replace that. It's clear that they were doing the. It makes a lot more sense now why they were doing this stuff with like Will Middlebrooks and Kevin Youkilis during the year now, because I think they kind of knew that Eck was going to leave. But I'm going to miss Eck. He's been part of Red Sox broadcast for, about 13, 14 years now, on and off. But the Red Sox viewing experience has not necessarily been good for a long time. We start off with Orsilo, of course, and then Remy off of his various health injuries and stuff with his son. Eck was the one consistent that made me feel good watching the Boston Red Sox.
The high cheese.
And the thing with
It's
Eck
time to party. It's time to party.
The thing with Eck was, it didn't matter if you were on the Red Sox, if you were good or not. If you were bad, he called you out. If you gave up 3 home runs, like, get him the F out of here or whatever it was. The Red Sox broadcast has struggled for years since they let Orsilo go for whatever reason they did. And just, I don't think they have.
He was homegrown talent, Craig.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
I just don't know how they're going to make that broadcast good again. I really don't. I think they're going to suffer.
It's Maserati.
Oh, that's no.
He's so good. He's so good in that role.
I agree, but his voice, I just can't. I can't.
We got to listen to it every day from 2 to 6.
So what? I guess it was X's decision, but listen, I don't blame him after this year to walk away. He's like, this sucks. I don't want to watch this shit anymore. But with it just feels like the Red Sox booth is kind of mirroring the Red Sox. You know what I mean? Like we have since I was like 10, 11, 12, the Red Sox booth was like a part of my friend group. You know what I mean? It was Don Orsilo and Jerry Remy. It was Remy and Eck. It was all these guys that have just been in our lives forever. And in the last 3 to 4 years, like first the Don Orsilo thing happens, then he doesn't even get invited back for the event for Remy. Then you lose Remy, rest in peace. Love that guy. And now we lose Eck, and it's just like it just feels like everything with this team that we used to feel good about, that we used to love, is just changing. And it, like you said, Craig, it hurts, man. It hurts that he's leaving. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it just feels like the Red Sox in the booth have gone from a family owned business to a corporation. It's mechanical now. It's just like anyone could do it. You know what I mean? So that's why I say bring Maz back. That's his Boston. He loves and hates this team as much as we do. And listen, because of what he gets paid off of, because, I don't know how much he gets paid. That's nothing. But because of his notoriety, it's right there for the record. But because of his notoriety as a host on 98.5, they can't fire him on Nesson, and if they do, he won't care. So he can be honest. He does not have to follow their playbook. So you need somebody like that.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So it's like the Eck route, where like Eck could do no wrong. If Nesson fired Eck, right? Exactly. They'd be like, I like it. I like it. Okay.
So I've been like doing this broadcasting thing for a long time, not just on the podcast. Not to embellish or anything.
Toot, baby.
But so I delve a lot of broadcasters, and pretty much when I talk to like ADs or whatever, or athletic directors for like local high schools or something, they're like, we don't really like when broadcasters criticize our players for things like this and things like that, et cetera, et cetera. And it feels like that's the direction where they're heading at Nesson right now. That's why they brought in Dave O'Brien, who's a great broadcaster.
Yep,
but I don't think
everything by the book.
Everything by the book, but there's no controversy to be found with Dave O'Brien. And with Eck, and he's what made that listening to it salvageable, because if someone was sucking, he'd just read them out. Bobby.
Can I? So that's what's really missed. So you guys remember back in the day, I used to watch the Red Sox just to listen to Orsilo and Remy together.
Just to watch them, because it would be, you didn't know who's going to make who laugh.
Right, it would be 18-1, and I'd still be sitting there listening.
Yeah, it was
not anymore.
It didn't matter. And listen, I'm not a Remy guy. Didn't like him. I thought he was a bad player. I don't want to talk about the off the field stuff. But when you put him in with Orsilo,
what is going on?
It just worked. So if it's not to cut you off, Bobby, but like if it's, you just need to find someone that doesn't need that job, but we need to hear them do that job. So like an Ortiz, I don't know if he wants to do it. I don't know if he'd be good at it.
Can they afford him?
Who knows? But he's unfireable. Pedro, he'd be interesting. I think there just aren't many players left that have, or announcers left that would have that type of sway where it wouldn't matter what they said. They didn't care if they get fired or not.
Let's put it so. The guy you brought, who's the play-by-play now?
Dave O'Brien.
Dave O'Brien. I don't know his name off the top of my head.
It's okay.
Right. If you ask anyone in Boston who knew anything about the Red Sox from 2012 to 2015, who the play-by-play was, they knew it was Don Orsilo. Who's the color commentator? Jerry Remy. It's just now that all of that recognition with Eck leaving is now gone. So it's just like you need to do something to keep those fans watching this mediocre team. And if Eck's gone, I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't.
Doesn't matter. They don't have to worry about their TV ratings, Bobby. I'm going to tell you why. Because their demographic is the 55 and older crowd, right?
Yep.
And those people fall asleep in about the fifth inning, and they keep their TV on, so they still draw a number off of those ratings. So they're going to be fine.
Like the personal attack on my father is that's exactly what happened.
I'm 34 years old and I fall asleep in the first inning watching the Red Sox, but then I changed the channel.
I was going to say, that's what I do.
Right. So their rating, I think their Nesson share are always going to be good. I mean, they were good this year. They were doing like an 8 or a 10 in the market still this year.
And Nesson really has been kind of moving away from pretty much doing
Sports
anything
programming. They're like,
sports programming. It's either Red Sox broadcast, Bruins broadcast, Charlie Moore, or sports gambling. They don't even do the Nesson late shows anymore. What they do?
they're like
Sports desk,
MC.
they don't do that anymore.
No, they don't. No, that used to be the best part of waking up before
15 minutes every day, man.
Is watching Hazel May for 15 minutes 5 times in a row before school. But they're like in this weird MTV, but we don't play music transition anymore. It's like they make their money off the Bruins and off the Red Sox. They have their little Nesson subscription service that I'm sure is great if you want to watch Charlie Moore outdoor. But like,
I want to watch 1997 Bruins. That's what I want to do.
Right. Yeah, great. You want to see Byron Dafoe let every fucking puck go in the net? That's what you want?
Billy Guerin, bro.
Yeah. All right, I think that's about a wrap on this, Greg.
Yeah, I don't know who else we can bitch about here. One last thing I want to say about this team is I have never felt such a lack of optimism or positivity towards this squad, man. It's so crazy how the Texans comparison you made earlier. I mean, it's not as bad, but it's kind of close to that, where it's like we had everything in front of us. Everything. We had the stars. We had a guy that was going to be a cornerstone. We had pitching. And now we might not have any of it. And it's wild. I mean, it's just crazy.
If you just think about the last couple of regimes as the Red Sox, right? Like in 2011, you had the best start of all time, and then you had the worst collapse in September. Chicken and beer. They overhauled that team, and within 18 months, they won a championship. 2015, 2016, they were in a bad spot. They bring in, in 2014, they're in a bad spot. They bring in Dave Dombrowski. They win another championship.
Yep.
There's just no light at the end of this really fucking dark tunnel right now.
And if it is a light, it's a goddamn train.
Yeah, it's a flickering candle.
Well, the good news is we won't have to talk to them again till at least hopefully February, but we'll see if they make a big.
Oh no! You just you just wait. Book it right now. We're gonna do we are going to do the Xander Bogaerts signs with the Los Angeles Dodgers reaction show the minute that it happens, because I love the ability to say I told you so.
Either the Dodgers or like someone fucking weird, like Craig said, the Rangers, or like the fucking I don't even know, the Diamondbacks.
And Bobby's out, and I guess we're out too. So this has been the 617 podcast. Thank you all for listening in. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure to subscribe and check in and give us a rating wherever it is. No, you know what, Bobby? We're done with you.
Yeah, I don't know why. I literally listen. I'll tell you, the entire thing just reloads on me. So like I'm sitting here, you guys are right here, and all of a sudden you just disappeared. I'm like on Google again. What just happened?
That's how it's for us too, Bobby. Craig was just doing an outro before you rudely interrupted.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's all right. But the good news is we'll be doing our Celtics shows again very soon. Y'all love those, and we love talking about the Celtics. It's a team actually worth talking about. So we'll be doing that very soon. But Mike, you want to talk about your honeymoon before we leave?
I mean, yeah, it was a trip of a lifetime.
If people were wondering why you were gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think anybody actually cared, but I do appreciate
I did.
No, it was great. 2-week cruise in the Mediterranean. My wife planned the entire thing, so shout out to Holland. She was amazing, and it was a great trip. It was a trip of a lifetime.
Lots of candidates of Holland. Lots of candidates of Holland.
So true. That's so true.
That, bro, I have to say, like a little sight under the hood for everyone. That was the funniest Facebook comment I've ever seen, maybe in my entire. Like Mike's posting all these pictures, and in the background you just see Holland like kind of huddling over in the corner with just like a serious face on, and it was like there's like 6 of them out there, and each comment, each picture is a comment. Nice candid, Mike. Nice candid. And then the last one was just like and another candid of Holland.
Yeah, I mean, in my defense, I didn't know she was there. You know,
that's how beautiful it was.
That's right. It's exactly. She's like camouflage because she's so beautiful.
Well, Mike, I'm very happy you're back, but I will say, I have gotten kind of addicted to this hosting thing. I understand why you've done it for 15 years, So
I actually gave it up for the first year and a half of this podcast.
well,
I understand what you're saying.
it's a little addicting. We'll see if I give it up. I probably will, but we'll see.
I don't want to host anymore. You should be the host, dude.
Before Bob disappears again, for Bob Kelly, for Michael Marcangelo, I am Craig D'Alessandro. This has been another edition of the 617 podcast. Tune in later this week. We'll have a preview of the New England Patriots taking on the Cleveland Browns later on this week. Actually, technically next week, because Sundays is the first day of the week. But for Michael Marcangelo and Bob Kelly, I am Craig D'Alessandro, and we'll talk to you soon.